penultimate race of the 2019 campaign has come down to the bitter end. Let's fill you in on the story up to this point, the penultimate race. Braden Eves, who you see on the pole, got a championship bonus point for getting that pole position. That will put him at a 5-point deficit over the points leader, Hunter McElray. Hunter McElray will start on the outside of row number 1. So these two have been dominant this entire 2019 campaign. Just 5 points separate the two drivers right now. The interesting point about this race weekend is Hunter McElray had electrical issues earlier today. He will start dead last in the field tomorrow, so Hunter definitely needs a win today to help secure a championship tomorrow for the final race of the season. Let's introduce you to the starting lineup, the 18 cars making up this USF2000 field today. From Orlando, Florida, driving the Spray 9 Permatex Polytech, the Human Growth Foundation, car number 77, it's Aaron Tenori. Starting 17th from Westfield, Indiana, driving the Indy Dental Group, Loomis, car number 40, it's Jack William Miller. From Covington, Louisiana, driving the Pelican Energy car number 7, it's Christian Bogle. Starting 15th from Calvi, Brazil, driving the Bruna and Bia car number 24, it's Bruna Tomaselli. Starting in the 14th position this afternoon from Palo Alto, California, driving the Mento Ventures car number 36, it's Nolan Siegel. Starting on the inside of row number 7 from Portland, Oregon, driving the Oil Creek Capital Family Help and Wellness car number 73, it's Kyle Dupel. Starting on the outside of row number 6 from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, driving the S-Team Motorsports car number 21, it's Yuvan Sundaramudi. To the inside of row number 6 we go. He hails from Greenfield, Indiana, driving the Metalloy Corporation car number 14, Zach Holden. Starting in the 10th position from Deerfield Beach, Florida, driving the Cal Development Keen Machine let's get it right here, Architectural Woodwork, it's car number 2, and Darren Keene. Starting in the 9th position from Mexico City, Mexico, driving the Telcel car number 12, it's Manuel Suleiman. In the 8th position from Johnston, Colorado, driving the JHDD CSU 1 Cure Lucas Oil car number 5, Wyatt Brichacek. Starting 7th from Miami, Florida, driving the Lucas Oil School of Racing, the Ticket Clinic car number 3, it's Reese Gold. Now our top 3 rows, starting on the outside from Houston, Texas, driving the Remax AmCap Homes Loans car number 4, it's Jack Crawford. Starting in the 5th position from Sao Paulo, Brazil, driving the Bibs Chocolate car number 91, it's Eduardo Barrichello. In the 4th position, driving from Joliet, Illinois, driving the Slick Licks car number 23, it's Colin Kaminsky. In the 3rd position from Copenhagen, Denmark, driving the JHDD CSU car number 6, it's Christian Rasmussen. And on your front row, as we had just talked about, from Los Angeles, California, on the outside, driving the car number 22, it's Hunter McElray. And on your pole from Gahanna, Ohio, driving the MDRN livery, car number 8, it's Braden Eves. It's time to get this championship weekend underway. Race number 1 of 2. Again, 5 points separate Hunter McElray, your points leader, and Braden Eves. Going to be an exciting race. You race fans here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca are in from the treat. Again, Braden Eves scoring an extra bonus point for getting the pole today. And now, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in all of sports. Here, a guest of Allied Building Products is starter Tony McComas to give the command.
On behalf of everyone at Allied Building Products, drivers, start your engines!
Well done, Tony McComas, a guest of Allied Building Products. It's time to get this Cooper Tires USF2000 Grand Prix here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca underway. Again, we'll keep our eyes on that front row. Braden Eves, 5 points out of the points lead, and that championship will start on the pole. Hunter McElray in car number 22. The Soul Red colors, that Mazda sponsorship, will start on the outside of row number 1. The field will get the green flag the first time by. The penultimate round of this 2019 campaign for the USF2000 series. The first rung in this Road to Indy program is about to get underway. The field is away. It's time to see who will win race number 1, the USF2000 series.
Cars leaving start-finish to go out on their pace lap, and joining me in the booth for the race call on this one is Rob Howden, the voice of the Road to Indy.
Thank you so much, Dick. Pleasure to be back up in here. Got a little busy there with the press conference in Victory Lane for the Indy Lights Championship. Of course, Oliver Askew scoring that title, so wasn't able to make it up here to the booth for the Indy Pro 2000 race. Kudos to Kyle Kirkwood. Continued pushing on Stingray Robb to force him into a minor mistake. Stingray talked to him right afterwards on the podium, just really disappointed, but is excited to try to get back to do it again tomorrow. Again, Braden Eves will start on the pole position alongside Hunter McElroy in the number 22. These are the two drivers in the middle of the championship battle. Just 5 points separate these drivers, with Eves getting a bonus point for qualifying on the pole. The pressure on for McElroy, though, because simply this, he had an issue with the engine in qualifying, was not able to get any laps whatsoever, brought 2 red flags out. He's going to start at the very tail of the field, 18th in race number 2 tomorrow morning. So McElroy almost now with just that pressure to win here today, to finish in front of Eves, to make sure he stretches that advantage as much as he possibly can. This race is going to be exciting for sure. It'll be Rasmussen, Christian Rasmussen, and Colin Kaminsky on row 2. Eduardo Barrichello alongside Jack Crawford on row 3. And row 4 on the big board, as you see, Reese Gold and Wyatt Brikacek. I was got to get working on that last name. Hopefully we'll have Wyatt here all next year. Wyatt Brikacek. There's the field, as you see on the big board, the Cooper Tires USF2000 Grand Prix here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Championship, of course, up for grabs here as well, but it's not going to get locked here today. That will be tomorrow morning. Same goes with the Indy Pro 2000. Almost just a 1 or 2 points for Kyle Kirkwood for him to be able to score this title. So we'll see how it all shakes down, but Braden Eves and Hunter McElroy on the front row. This will be very interesting as the drivers work their way now out of turn number 9 through turn number 10. Dick, it's going to be an exciting race.
I'm thinking it could get wrapped today if McElroy has a disastrous race.
Now he'll be able to get enough points in 18th that he won't be able to quite lock it down. He's 5 points up coming in. Field set as they work their way up here to turn number 11. As we get ready to go racing with USF2000, the very first rung of this road to Indy, the champions vying for a scholarship that will put them next year into the Indy Pro program. Ladies and gentlemen, we're rolling.
Flag.
Green, green, green. We're underway for USF2000. They'll race their way up the hill, down through turn number 1 now, into the big sweeping turn number 2. Field fans out about 2 or 3 wide as they work their way into the corner. Can they get through cleanly? Thus far, looking good. Pretty much 2 by 2. Drivers playing nicely through the very tough opening corners of this racetrack. Funneling down into turn number 3 as well. Through 3, over to turn number 4, and then 5 could be a potential braking zone as the drivers work their way into that corner for the first time. Here they come under the Mother's Bridge. Front 5 or 6 drivers lining up. Do we see anybody trying to move? Yeah, further back, probably for 7th or 8th, side by side. That's Reese Gold holding the position, able to come across the bow from right to left. So a really good run there for, as I said, Reese Gold. Looks to me like Braden Eves into the lead. Hunter McElroy going to get real aggressive early. They'll work their way into the braking zone of the corkscrew. Do we see our first pass? We do not. In fact, I want to say that's Rasmussen who's gone to second. Indeed, Christian Rasmussen goes to P2. McElroy slotting down into 3rd. So that's the way they come through the corkscrew and rainy curve for the first time. Dick, drivers lining up. Christian Rasmussen, pretty good start.
Yeah, McElroy not happy about being relegated to 3rd spot, trying to find his way back around Rasmussen as they come down into turn 11 to complete lap 1.
I really think that Rasmussen probably just trying to be conservative on the opening circuit, because the bottom line is he needs a really good result here. He'll be starting dead last coming from the tail of the field. He's probably going to need a yellow flag tomorrow. He needs a good race here. Settle in. Don't make a mistake. Front 3 drivers looking pretty good. Here's your top 10 on the opening circuit. Braden Eves, your leader. Christian Rasmussen goes to 2nd. McElroy 3rd. Colin Kaminsky 4th. Jack Crawford in the number 4 moves up to 5th spot. Eduardo Barrichello into 6th. Brikacek in 7th. Manuel Suleiman 8th. Darren Keene 9th. Zach Holden in 10th. And Yuvan Sundaramur the 11th. Reese Gold falling back actually into the 12th position. I believe he was battling there with Suleiman at a time. But again, Reese Gold back to 12th.
That turn 5 they're going through now that you can see on the screen, that's a great passing zone. You'll see drivers dive on the inside there to make a move, and they can carry that line all the way up to 6 and complete that overtaking maneuver.
Back up to the carousel again. for the second time. There's a move to the inside. Look at that. Christian Rasmussen trying to find a little bit of racing room to the inside of Braden Eves. And any contact here with Eves could certainly change things for Hunter McElroy as well. McElroy setting into that third position, as I said. Colin Kaminsky, his teammate, right behind him. McElroy, though, right up on the gearbox, coming through 10 as they come down the hill. Little drop off, left rear touching that gravel, and that'll kick that dirt back up on the racetrack.
Kaminsky all over McElroy, too, as they come down into turn 11.
I would tell you this, Kaminsky's looking for a race win, but I don't think he's going to throw away a potential championship for his teammate. Those guys are really good friends. He'll want it. If he can get by, he will, but that's not what he's looking for. Here comes a move to the inside. To turn number 2, book it. To the inside goes Rasmussen. Christian Rasmussen to the inside of Braden Eves, coming down into turn number 2. Solid outbraking maneuver for the Danish driver who has won 2 races this year. Another driver dropping a wheel out of 3, but we have a new leader in USF2000 from J. Howard Driver Development, Christian Rasmussen.
You see all that dust that gets kicked up when a driver gets a wheel off. This ends up making the course even more slippery.
Exactly that, and that's the tough thing. Every time they come back around, especially the leaders, they don't know that the track's got dusty when they come back through if somebody's gone off the racetrack. Pretty good little advantage. Have a look here, folks. We'll say hello to those tuning in on the Road to Indy app. Nice little advantage right now for Rasmussen. It seems to me like Eves could be holding them up a little bit because Rasmussen's been able to pull away. And in fact, McElroy putting a lot of pressure on Eves as they come down through Rainy Curve. I wonder if McElroy will try to do exactly what Rasmussen did. Look to the inside of turn number 11.
Look to the inside, there was nothing there,
Well,
and then it looked like Kaminsky looked to the outside of him going into that corner.
Eves came across to defend a little bit, was kind of in the middle of the racetrack. Here's the big run down the straightaway again. Can McElroy make the move here on Eves? Because it looks to me like Braden Eves is in defense mode right now. They'll come down the hill to turn number 2, and McElroy not able to make the pass. They're all stacking up behind Braden Eves now as well. McElroy, Kaminsky in the 23, Crawford in the number 4, and Barrichello in the number 9 closing up as well. Brickachek not too far back in the 5. This is getting interesting because they're stacking up here behind Braden Eves.
Yeah, Eves is holding up the parade. He's doing 128s. Everybody behind him is doing 127. So he's holding up the field, and this has allowed Rasmussen to pull out a second and a half in the lead.
And that's really the only thing McElroy's thinking is I got to finish in front of Braden Eves. He needs to extend the point lead as much as he can, knowing that he's going to be starting at the tail of the field for tomorrow's main event. Now, he tried to make a move down in turn number 11. Had a little bit of trouble coming out of 10. Tried to move to the inside of 11, and at that point, it was Eves that kind of came across. So it balked him up a little bit. McElroy got a little loose, actually, on the entry into turn number 11, so couldn't get back on the power for the run up to turn number 1 and 2. Let's see if he changes it this time as they come down the hill. Big outside run there for McElroy. He'll try to set him up coming down again here into turn number 11. Look at the inside run. This is to the outside. McElroy trying to move to the outside of turn number 11. They'll go side by side out of the corner. Here's the run up the straightaway. McElroy on the outside. Eves on the inside. Kaminsky coming into battle.
Kaminsky tried to pull up right in between them as they crossed the start-finish line, made it 3 abreast.
Side by side coming into the corner. McElroy on the outside. It's Eves on the inside. They'll be side by side on the exit. Onto the rumbles. Again side by side. A little bit of touching. Into the inside.
McElroy's going to pull it off.
McElroy to the inside. Book it. Great pass there for McElroy. That started with an outside move as they worked their way through turn number 11. The pass finishing. Driver off. We have a spin out of turn number 3.
Turn 3.
Driver spinning in turn number 3. We'll see whether or not that's going to bring out a full course yellow. But we did see a driver drop a wheel on the exit of turn number 3. The car shot across the racetrack. And we'll find out whether or not we're going to go full course yellow. We can see the start-finish line here, and I'm not seeing anyone reaching to grab the yellow flag, so potentially that driver able to get things righted. But the key right now is Hunter McElroy has gotten to second place.
Yeah, I think that driver was able to keep the car going, so that will forego a yellow flag. As long as he's not marooned out there in the gravel, we should stay green.
Yeah, let's continue to kind of eye in the flag stand here. Not seeing anything happen in terms of a yellow flag. Christian Rasmussen will be thanking that for sure because he does not want to lose a lead of 3 seconds right now. McElroy's, though, been able to pull out into the second position. Now, can he stretch away the gap as they work their way across? Oh, indeed. And in fact, Kaminsky's gone by as well. Colin Kaminsky. has gone by Braden Eves. He goes down to 4th. Every person that is able to get by Braden Eves changes the storyline for tomorrow's race for Hunter McElroy. The bigger of a gap he can get, the less he has to work his way forward in terms of finding points. This is going to get interesting because Jack Crawford in the number 4 for Cape Motorsports looks like he's ready to battle with his teammate Braden Eves.
Yeah, he's only about 0.2 of a second behind him. Maybe Eves has got a problem with his car because, as I mentioned earlier, everyone's lopping in the 127s. Rasmussen down to 126 now, but Eves is still in the 128s.
I didn't get a chance to go down on pit lane, and here's one of the interesting things. I know that the Eves team, Cape Motorsports, went to fresh rubber. That's what's got him the pole position. If other teams potentially have fresh rubber, he's on some older rubber. That's something we probably could take into consideration. But as I said, I wasn't able to go up and down pit lane to find out who was on fresh Coopers.
Earlier, I thought maybe his times were a little slower because he was driving defensively to keep McElroy behind him.
Fantastic battle coming out through the rainy curve right now. They almost went side by side coming down the hill, and I believe that's Darren Keene and Manuel Suleiman. Suleiman tried to get around Keene on the outside. He said, no way. Kept that position. That's some good racing here right now, I think, for 7th and 8th. Actually, that's Keene making the move around Suleiman to go to P8. So Darren Keene, a nice move to the inside of the corkscrew, finishes it coming down the hill. Good pass. Hunter McElroy just turned the fast lap of the race. We're going to keep an eye on the splits between 1st and 2nd. 3.8 seconds with 13 laps to go. Seems like a pretty good advantage here for Rasmussen as he tries to win his 3rd race of the year. Victorious on the streets of Toronto. He won at Mid-Ohio as well and is looking to win here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It's a solid run thus far for the Dane, for Jay Howard Driver Development. Becoming one of the strong teams here in this road to Indy, the very first step, USF2000. We'll give you a full field rundown next time by. That'll be lap number 8 of a scheduled 20. 18 drivers in the field today. Christian Rasmussen, as we said, took the lead with a strong move to the inside of turn number 1 on Braden Eves. McElroy went the other way around, passed on the outside of 11, finished it on the exit of turn number 2. In fact, probably finished it in turn 3, to be honest, to get that pass done. And that's what it takes here at Laguna. You've got to make a pass and then finish it a couple of corners later because it's so tough to overtake here this racetrack. We'll look at the gap again. 3.8 seconds between Rasmussen and McElroy. Rasmussen, your leader. McElroy runs in 2nd. The gap now, as they come across the line, McElroy turning another fast lap, 3.5 seconds. He was almost 0.3 quicker. McElroy closing in on Rasmussen. Still 12 to go. Colin Kaminsky runs 3rd. Braden Eves in the 4th spot. His teammate Jack Crawford in 5th, back by just 0.4, essentially about a car length back. Eduardo Barrichello, the number 91 for D-Force Racing, running 6th. Darren Keene on the move up to 7th. He's able to get by Brickacek as well. So Darren Keene to 7th. By Brickacek and by Suleiman a couple laps ago. Zach Holden runs in 10th. Reese Gold 11th. Yuvan Sundaramurthy now in 12th. Kyle Dupel runs 13th. Bruno Tomaselli 14th. Nolan Siegel in 15th spot. Ayrton Ori in 16th. Christian Bogle 17th. And Jack William Miller rounding out the 18 drivers we have here in USF 2000 today. There's your lead into the corkscrew. First it's Rasmussen, then McElroy. That's McElroy sliding that car through. Kaminsky. Then it's Eves, Crawford, and Barrichello. Field separating out a little bit. We'll see which drivers are able to turn up the wick here because we're just closing in on the halfway point. McElroy ahead of Eves, P2 to P4, trying to get as much of a gap as possible. Another fast lap for McElroy. He gets it down to 3.3 seconds. That's what's making this super exciting right now. The simple fact that he is chipping away at the leader as well. .25.7. No one else driving 25s other than the 2 leaders. Another 1/10 of a second. McElroy closing. Kaminsky back by about a half a second. 126.2. Eves 126.1. Crawford 126.6. Barrichello 126.7. Keene is definitely closing on Barrichello as well. We may find ourselves with a battle here for that 6th position as Keene's been working his way forward. Darren Keene started in 10th. He's already up into 7th, looking to move now to 6th. Made a couple of really aggressive passes, one of them into the corkscrew, able to get by Suleiman. Leaders coming through the corkscrew right now as well. There's that battle. Keene closing up on Barrichello. The gap just 0.8 of a second last time by. Darren Keene most definitely closing in on the driver running 6th. They're coming right down through your screen right now through turn number 10. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th. Barrichello, Keene, and Brikacek.
Keene is turning faster laps than Barrichello, so good chance that he will catch him and overtake him for that 6th place spot. Keene in the 2 car, Barrichello in the 91.
It's all about being consistent, Dick, as you know. Another 0.3 of a second faster for Darren Keene. But the one thing is, you can catch a driver, but passing him's a different thing. The minute you get in there, right, you lose the air off the front wing.
Totally different story.
You get that aero wash in the front of the car, and that means that you've got to make kind of an interesting pass. The pass that McElrea made on Eves wasn't one where he was following him and diving him to the inside. Eves kind of was defensive to the inside of 11, and McElrea went to the outside and held the outside line. That was a pretty
you talk
impressive
about
pass.
it. Basically, you're setting up that pass about 2 or 3 corners in advance.
Yeah, indeed. But you've also got to find out what your driver's doing. The only reason that McElrea made that pass to the outside was because he knew Eves was really running him to the inside. Now, when you run to the inside like that, you can't carry as much speed through the corner.
No.
Right? And you're breaking off line a little bit, and that allowed McElrea to make a really courageous and aggressive move to the outside. Wyatt Brikacek has been an impressive driver here in his debut weekend for Jay Howard, running in the 8th position right now. That's them right there, coming through.
Keene now about a half a second behind Barrichello. That battle for 6th is really heating up between those two.
Lap times continue to fall for Darren Keene, about 0.3 of a second quicker than Barrichello. They'll see the crossed halfway flags this time by, as we now have 10 laps remaining in this one. 10 down, 10 to go. Maurice Gold able to get by Zach Holden on that last lap. Gold now moving up into the top 10. Keene right there coming through turn number 3. That's how close he is. It's about 1.5 lengths. Is that close enough to turn 5? Do you take the dive move into the corkscrew? Do you wait till 11? Do you try to make that move into 1? There's just really a handful of spots to pass here, but you really have to either be aggressive, courageous, or set it up, as Dick said, a couple laps early. Or a couple corners early.
Corners, yeah.
Yeah. Even a couple laps, because if you keep making a move to the inside, looking to the inside, and that driver starts coming over, you really try to set them up and get them thinking, get them in their head.
He's going to react to what he thinks you are going to do.
That's it. Again, diving down through the corkscrew. Look how close Keene is now. Brikacek not letting them get away at all. Down through Rainy Curve. Both drivers, Barrichello and Keene, 1:26.7 last time by, and that'll happen. You'll close up to somebody, you'll be faster, but once you get there, it's almost impossible to do anything unless you got clean air. And we'll see what happens here as they come back out of turn number 11. Final race for the Road to Indy here today. Of course, back tomorrow with 3 more races. Indy Lights kicks things off at 9:15. We'll follow that up with USF2000. And then after the IndyCar race, we'll have the Indy Pro 2000 drivers and see who's going to take that crown, whether it be Kyle Kirkwood or Rasmussen Lint. Right now, though, definitely in the corner of Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, and Brikacek is putting as much pressure on Keene as Keene is on Barrichello. So that's a 3-car battle for 6 between Barrichello in the 91 car, Keene in the 2 car, and Brikacek in 5.
Interesting the fact that Brikacek actually quicker than Jack Crawford last time by. So that trio that runs 6th, 7th, and 8th, Barrichello, Keene, and Brikacek, I got to think that if Keene was able to get by there and potentially into 6, he may be able to reel in both of his teammates, Braden Eves and Jack Crawford. Seems to have a pretty good race car. Good shot. I love this picture as they start to work their way down here into the corkscrew. Braking so crucial in making a good run through the corkscrew, because if you mess up the braking, everything else just falls apart.
I like that shot shooting up the hill as they come through, as they enter the corkscrew. Looks like a high-speed ballet as they come down the hill.
Keene getting a little bit of gap between himself and Brikacek. But Wyatt closing back up into 11. Let's have a look at this lead. It's now 3 seconds with eight laps to go. McElroy's been just knocking out 1/10 of a second at a time, and that's just not going to be enough. Rasmussen with that 3-second lead trying to win his 3rd race. Remember, Rasmussen is in a battle as well with Darren Keene for 3rd. It's Rasmussen, Kaminsky, and Keene battling out for 3rd overall in the points. Darren Keene running in 7th. Kaminsky now 3rd. Rasmussen leading. That'll tighten up the battle for 3rd as well going into tomorrow's race. Watching Keene and that battle come under the Mother's Bridge. That's really the fight we're watching here, I think. It's probably 6th, 7th, and 8th. Everybody else fairly spread out at this point here. Reese Gold closing in on Manuel Suleiman, was quicker by 0.3 of a second last time by. We may see a pass for 9th coming up here soon as well. Reese Gold, just 15 years of age. There's that shot you like, Dick, coming through the corkscrew. Keene doing everything he can to try to find a way by Eduardo Barrichello, but Eduardo has been very consistent. Good lap times. Right around 26.6, 26.7. In fact, he's built a bit of a gap here on Keene on this particular circuit. "13 laps down, 7 to go, and virtually identical lap times between the two leaders, Rasmussen in the 6 and McElroy in the 22. McElroy with 2 positions on Braden Eves to get himself a little more breathing room going into tomorrow, but he is going to have to make things happen. And tomorrow's going to be a wild one for sure.
Well, McElroy's doing what he can to ensure his chances at the championship. Looks like he's going to finish on the podium for this event, and he's going to have a long day tomorrow as he's going to start at the rear of this 18-car field, and we'll see how far he has to go up to keep his championship hopes alive. A lot of it's going to depend on what Brandon Eves done. They're only 5 points apart coming into this next to last race. That gap is going to grow a little bit if they finish the way they're running now, with McElroy in 2nd and Eves in 4th. Only 2 spots further back, but he's going to gain fewer points.
Well, and this is it. You start thinking strategy. You know, what does Hunter McElroy do tomorrow? Is he super aggressive on the opening lap? Is he trying to make moves down into turn number 2? Is he getting aggressive in 5? Does he, try to get into the inside of somebody in the corkscrew? Is he trying to get 4 or 5 passes early, knowing that he's probably a second or so quicker? Let's look at some lap times right now. He's down to a 1:26 flat. He's a second and a half quicker than anybody outside the top 10. And that's and this place, although you get balked up behind another car, we saw that happen obviously with Darren Keene, kind of balked up right now behind Barrichello. Now they're running very similar lap times. Does he get super aggressive on the opening circuit to try to get some spots? We haven't seen a yellow flag here yet, right? A yellow flag changes everything. So.
Yeah. And, a lot of the drivers are going to be starting toward the back of the field, realize that he's going to be coming.
That's true.
They're going to watch their mirrors. They don't want to get tangled up with him. They're going to want to let him go because they're not going to be able to race with him. So
eventually he's going by.
Maybe they'll be a little courteous and let him go by and essentially get out of their hair and not risk a chance of putting both themselves and he out of the race.
I'm sure everybody at Pabst Racing, everybody at Cape Motorsports, and everybody at the Road to Indy will be doing their calculations tonight, the mathematics on that Excel spreadsheet to figure out where everyone needs to finish. But as they run on the racetrack right now, Christian Rasmussen has actually stretched his lead back to 3.1 seconds. He and McElroy, very similar lap times here in the waning stages of this race. 1:26 flat for both drivers. Kaminsky running in 3rd, trying to get himself onto the podium. Braden Eves in 4th spot. Jack Crawford 5th. Eduardo Barrichello runs in 6th. Darren Keene 7th. Wyatt Bricacek in the 8th spot. Manuel Suleiman 9th and Reese Gold in 10th.
I think that Barrichello, Keene, and Bricacek battle is going to go down to the last couple of laps because they've been pretty much maintaining the gap up to this point.
Yeah, I just, I really had thought that Keene might be able to put the pressure. Both of those drivers, I'll tell you this right now, they are most definitely closing up on Crawford and Eves. They are faster by about 3 to 4/10 of a second. Barrichello is only a second behind Jack Crawford. We really haven't talked about that yet because the 2 Cape Motorsports cars, Braden Eves in the 8 and Jack Crawford in the 4, have kind of been running together. They've been calm, relaxed, 4th and 5th. But 6th, 7th, and 8th keep coming. It's not that I think Keene, at this point, Keene's not able to pass Barrichello, but Eduardo's just running the lap times he needs to close up on Crawford.
Yeah, and Crawford doesn't want to get around Eves. That's his teammate, and he wants Eves to maintain that third position and get those points he needs in his run to the championship.
Sometimes I wonder whether or not they care.
Is he really my teammate?
Well, yeah, we're teammates, but he's not paying for my racing. I'm going to race as hard as I can and get the best result I can. We'll see. There they are coming through the corkscrew. You can see how close Barrichello is. Eduardo Barrichello in the number 91, running in that 6th position. He is right within a second from Crawford. This could get pretty interesting because once Barrichello gets to Crawford, you got to expect Keene's going to be in there as well. As I said, they were 3 to 4 tenths of a second last time by. Let's see what happens when they come by the stripe this time. What kind of lap times is Barrichello turning compared to Crawford? He's trying to go to the top 5. Another 2 tenths of a second. Barrichello is closing.
He's actually lapping quicker than Eves as well. Eves at that time at a 127.
Look at the shot through turn number 2. You can see how close they're getting. Darren Keene right there on the gearbox of Barrichello as well. Now, Keene obviously can see up front. He knows that the two of them working together are making it happen. They've stretched out over a second from Bricacek. So that'll allow Darren Keene to breathe a little better as he goes to work trying to find a way by Barrichello. But do you wait? Do you wait for Barrichello to get boxed up a little bit here with Crawford? Because Barrichello's between 3 Cape Motorsports cars right now. Eves and Crawford in front and Keene behind, all Cape Motorsports drivers. Christian Rasmussen, though, just doing everything he needs to do with 4 to go. Let's give some props to Christian here right now. He had his breakout weekend on the streets of Toronto, able to finish 2nd in race number 1. He won race number 2, able to win as well at Mid-Ohio. We've talked a lot about how success at Mid-Ohio kind of gives you a little indication that the driver and the team may be pretty solid here at Laguna Seca as well. So Christian Rasmussen, 3.7 seconds out. He just took another 3 tenths of a second and padded it on his lead. But we've got ourselves a little fight here. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, all separated by, I want to say, maybe 3 seconds at the most.
We've got about 3 laps to go in this, so it's getting down to get serious time or fold your cards.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds between Eves back to Bricacek. That's what you're seeing right there coming out of turn number 2 over to 3.
That's 4th to 8th.
Yeah, Barrichello was making a lot of hay there for a while. He was closing up in a big way, but he's fallen off a little bit, just kind of chipping away at it now. He was cutting 3 tenths of a second off a lap. It's 6 tenths back. There's only 3 laps remaining. Here come that group again. That's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Wyatt Bricacek having a really good run here in 8th. Manuel Suleiman 9th, and Reese Gold in 10th. Leader Rasmussen out to a 4-second lead now, still running down into the high 125s. Tremendous lap times for Christian Rasmussen. That bodes well for tomorrow as well, as he's trying to jump his way up into 3rd in the championship.
Yeah, Rasmussen only 3 tenths of a second off his qualifying time.
Isn't that amazing?
Incredible.
Shade, obviously, the shadow's getting a little longer here as the sun starts working its way to the horizon here in Monterey. Which drivers got it here in the final couple of circuits? 2 laps remaining. 2 to go. Rasmussen across the line. That gap continues to extend. 4.2 seconds now. As Christian Rasmussen has been impressive. There's your leader coming through turn number 3. Hunter McElroy's done what he needs to do. Jump out in that 2nd spot. Colin Kaminsky helping out his teammate as well. He was able to take the pole position for race number 2 for Kaminsky. That took a bonus point away from Braden Eves, and actually placing himself between his teammate McElroy and Eves is going to give McElroy McElroy even a more cushion, advancing further away from Eves heading to tomorrow. But again, as we said, vastly different starting positions for both of those drivers when we get set to go racing tomorrow morning. 2 laps to go for Rasmussen. It would be his 3rd race win of the year. Eves has been a winner. McElroy's been a winner. Rasmussen, as I said before, Darren Keene scored victory here as well. I like what Eduardo Barrichello's doing here this particular weekend, kind of really wrapping up what's been a strong second half of the season. Whether Barrichello comes back to USF2000 next year or makes the move to Indy Pro, he's a very talented young driver. He could come back and battle for the championship here for sure.
White flag, 1 lap to go.
Final circuit for USF2000. And Rasmussen leading the way. 4.3 second the advantage. Kaminsky third. Eves, Crawford, you can hear him roaring by us here. Eves, Crawford, Barrichello, Keene, Bricacek. Final circuit for one of these drivers to do something. Again, back at it tomorrow morning for another race. I'll run after Indy Lights.
That race scheduled to go off at 10:25 tomorrow morning.
9:15 scheduled start time, I believe, for Indy Lights. That championship already locked and loaded for Oliver Askew.
9:10.
Final circuit for the drivers in the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship. Christian Rasmussen. Drivers again working their way up here to the corkscrew. There's Rasmussen. You'll see how big that lead is as he plummets down again. The big drop there. There's McElroy, $200,000 scholarship winner from last year, around those Mazda Soul Red colors. Rocketing down through rainy curve, but this is all about Christian Rasmussen right now. We'll talk more about McElroy's championship advantage here, finishing second. But Rasmussen out of the final corner. Checker flag will fly. The winner, ladies and gentlemen, here today. He'll go down to the wall to buzz his Jay Howard team. Winner at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Round number 1 of USF2000. Christian Rasmussen scoring the victory. Hunter McElroy coming home in a solid second, a crucial second. Colin Kaminsky third. Here comes the run to the line. I think that, indeed, Darren Keene, final lap, he might have got by Barrichello. We'll see if live timing updates here.
No.
I thought he did. Kaminsky, Eves in fourth, Crawford in fifth. They're saying Barrichello still in the sixth spot. Keene in seventh. About a second and a half back was Wyatt Bricacek. Manuel Suleiman in ninth, and Zach Holden rounding out the top 10 as Holden able to get by Reese Gold late in the race. Holden moving up to the top 10.
Barrichello almost got Crawford at the finish. He finished 17 hundredths of a second behind Crawford.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive run there for Barrichello. Look at that final lap. He went 3/10 quicker than Crawford, got down to a 127 flat. But the driver you got to give props to here for sure, Christian Rasmussen. What a run for him, the driver from Denmark for Jay Howard Driver Development at 126.696. He'll take the victory by 4.4 seconds over Hunter McElroy. But McElroy finishes 2 positions in front of Braden Eves, and that's going to extend his point lead. I can't tell you the exact numbers, but it will extend his point lead heading into tomorrow. That'll give him just a little more wiggle room, Dick, in terms of where he needs to finish in comparison to Eves to try to score this championship.
He needs all the wiggle room he can get because of where he's starting at the back of the field. Unfortunate situation because of his difficulties in the qualifying today. Engine issues forced him to lose all times that he had posted, so he will start at the back of the field for tomorrow morning's race.
Dick, drivers will work their way around the track, bring themselves back into pit lane. We'll take the winner into victory lane as well. I'm going to go there right now. You enjoy the remainder of the day.
Rob, thank you very much. Rob Howden, the voice of the road to Indy. Thank you very much for joining us up in the booth and giving us your insight onto this series and all the racing that's going on. This fantastic day of